Here's a truth that's gonna sting. Most entrepreneurs are scared to death of charging what they're worth because they think that high ticket means becoming everything that they hate about pushy salespeople. They believe that charging premium prices requires manipulation, fake scarcity, and sleazy car salesman tactics. That's not just wrong, it's financial suicide, because here's what most people don't understand about high ticket services, and this will completely flip how you think about premium pricing. According to Harvard Business Review's analysis of 10,000 B2B transactions, companies that focus on outcome-based relationships over feature-based selling see 67% higher customer lifetime value and 23% faster sales cycle. But here's the real kicker that nobody's talking about. When Salesforce analyzed their own high-ticket deals versus low-ticket transactions, they found something crazy, okay? Clients who paid premium prices had 91% higher implementation rates and were 3.2 times more likely to renew. You want to know why? Because when people pay premium prices, they actually show up and do the work. Cheap clients treat you like a discount vendor, but premium clients treat you like a strategic partner. Yet, most entrepreneurs are so terrified of charging what they're worth that they end up in what I like to call the discount death spiral. You're competing on price, working twice as hard for half the money, and you're wondering why your business feels like a hamster wheel designed by Satan himself, right? Here's a stat that will ruin your whole business plan. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, service-based businesses that compete primarily on price, guys, have a 73% failure rate within just 3 years. Compare that to businesses that position themselves as premium solutions, right? They have a 34% failure rate. But think about that for a second. When you charge more, you're literally doubling your chances of survival, because premium pricing isn't just about, more money per client. It's about building a sustainable business that doesn't require you to sacrifice your sanity on the altar of competitive pricing, right? I learned this the hard way when I first started. I was building websites for $500 and throwing in everything but my firstborn child, right? I was doing logo designs, content writing, social media setups. Probably would have done their laundry if they asked, right? You know what happened though? Clients treated me like a discount vendor and they questioned every single thing that I did. I might as well have been standing on street corner with a sign, "Will build websites for food," right? When I shifted to positioning these as digital customer acquisition systems though, guys, instead of just websites, and I started charging $3,000, everything changed. Same website, but a different frame. And then suddenly, it wasn't about the number of pages or the fancy automations. It was about how many new customers this system would bring in. Value equation completely changed. I've built a portfolio of digital properties that bring in over $41,000 per month. And I've got students making $2,000 to $6,000 a month from digital leasing. And the crazy part, the higher we charge, the better our clients do, because when people invest serious money, they take the process seriously. Click the link in the description. I'll show you the exact positioning framework I use to command premium prices without turning into a sleazy internet marketer. Schedule a free call. I'll walk you through how to become the obvious choice in your market and actually feel good about what you charge. Now, let me break down exactly how to build a $4,000 high-ticket service that people actually want to pay for without you having to take a shower after your sales call, right? The first thing you need to understand is that high ticket isn't about the price. It's about the value equation. Most people think charging more just means adding more stuff. Wrong! Charging more means solving bigger problems, okay? Here's the tactical play, guys. Stop selling features, right? Start selling outcomes. Your $4,000 service isn't about collection of tasks, right? It's a solution to a specific expensive problem. And the more expensive that problem is for your client, the more reasonable your price starts to become. But here's where most people screw this up. They think bigger outcomes mean bigger problems. So they start promising the moon, or I'll 10x your business in 30 days or less, right? Yeah, good luck with that lawsuit just waiting to happen, right? The real play, guys, is to find the smallest outcome that's going to create the biggest impact. In my digital leasing business, I don't promise to transform their entire marketing strategy. I just promise to get them ranking on page 1 for one specific keyword that brings in qualified leads. Specific here, measurable and achievable, right? And when that happens, guys, they start asking what else we can do. That's when the real money starts to show up. This is why specificity beats generalization every single time. When you help small businesses with their digital marketing, you're competing with everyone. But when you help dental practices get more emergency appointments, then you're speaking the language of a $500,000 a year business owner who knows exactly what an emergency appointment is worth. The difference is price becomes secondary to the result when you solve a specific problem for a specific person. Now, let's talk about the positioning game, because this is where most high-ticket wannabes completely blow it. They think premium positioning means acting like you're too good for small clients. Wrong again, right? Premium positioning, guys, means becoming the obvious choice for a specific type of client with a specific type of problem. It's not about exclusivity for the sake of being exclusive. It's about focus that creates expertise. Think about it this way, okay? There are a million business consultants that are out there, right? But there's only a handful of people who specifically help manufacturing companies reduce waste in their production process. Who do you think charges more? The specialist or that generalist, right? But here's the thing that's going to sound counterintuitive. The more specific you get, the bigger your market becomes. I know that sounds like trying to lose weight by eating more pizza, but hear me out real quick, okay? When you say you help everyone, then you help no one, because everyone thinks you don't understand their specific situation. But when you say you help manufacturing companies, then every manufacturing company thinks, finally, somebody who gets it. The same principle applies whether you're helping restaurants, law firms, plumbing companies, because the more specific you're positioning, the less competition that you're going to face and the higher prices that you can command. Bottom line is this: get so specific that your ideal client thinks you're reading their mind when they land on your website. If you're helping restaurants, don't just say restaurants, say family restaurants in suburban markets, right? Dealing with labor shortages. Now you're speaking directly to exactly the person who needs what you're selling, right? But positioning is only half the battle. The other half is what I call proof stacking. And this is where most people either get it completely right or they get it spectacularly wrong, okay? Because proof stacking isn't about having, 47 testimonials on your website. It's about building a logical argument for why you're worth that premium price. And that argument, guys, starts before the client even knows that you exist. Having 47 testimonials that all say, great service is like having 47 people tell you that water is wet. And it's technically true, but it's not exactly helpful. The most effective approach I've seen is just documenting everything, not just client results, but your entire process. Write detailed case studies showing exactly how you identify problems, what solutions you implement, right? And the specific outcomes that your clients achieve. But here's the brilliant part. Publish these insights, guys, before you're even done with the projects. Let prospects see your entire thinking process just laid out. It's not just, trust me, I'm good at this, right? It's, here's exactly how I think through complex problems. That's credibility that you can't fake, and competitors, they can't copy, because it's tied to your specific experience and your approach, right? In my digital leasing business, instead of just saying, I help businesses rank on Google, guys, I document my entire research process. I publish analysis showing exactly how I examine local competition, identify, keyword gaps, and predict that ranking opportunities are out there for them. Prospects then read these insights and they think, this person clearly knows something that I don't. And by the time they get on a call with me, they're not questioning whether I can do the work. They're asking how quickly I can start. Now, Here's where we get into the psychology of high-ticket sales. This is the part that separates the professionals from the pretenders, right? Because most people think high-ticket sales is about being more persuasive, but actually, it's about being more qualifying. When someone is going to spend $4,000 on a service, they're not buying the service. They're buying confidence that they're making a good decision. And that confidence comes from feeling like you understand them better than they understand themselves. This means asking questions that make them think, not leading questions designed to manipulate them into saying yes, but diagnostic questions that help you both kind of figure out if working together actually makes sense. The best approach I've learned is treating sales calls like strategy sessions. Spend that first 30 minutes kind of understanding their business, understanding their goals, their constraints, then spend another 20 minutes outlining exactly what you think they need to do, whether they hire you or not. When you lead with value like this, prospects often try to hire you before you even mention your service because you've already proven your worth by solving immediate problems that they didn't even know they had. Listen to me, your sales process should feel like consulting, not selling. The goal isn't to convince somebody to buy. The goal is to help them make the best decision for their situation, even if that decision is not working with you. This is exactly what I do with my digital leasing consultations. Instead of leading with price and features, right? I start every call with a 45-minute business audit. I analyze their current website, their competition, their market positions, right? Then I present a complete strategic overview. And half of the time, prospects try to hire me before I even mention my service because I've already proven my value by solving immediate problems they didn't know they had. That's the difference between selling and consulting. When you lead with value, price becomes a secondary conversation. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, pricing psychology, because most entrepreneurs would rather perform surgery on themselves than have a conversation about money. It's kind of funny, but that's what it is. And watching some entrepreneurs talk about pricing is like watching someone try to swallow a cactus. It's painful, guys, for everybody involved. Here's what I've learned after years of testing different approaches. The way you present your price matters more than the actual number. And there's a specific framework that makes high-ticket pricing feel natural instead of awkward. It's called outcome-based pricing, and it works like this. Instead of saying, my package costs $4,000, you're going to say, based on what you've told me about your situation, the investment for getting this problem solved is $4,000. Do you see the difference? In the first version, you're asking them to pay for your time. In the second version, you're asking them to invest in the outcome. Completely different conversations. When I present pricing for my digital leasing services, I'll say something like, based on your current customer acquisition cost and the pipeline gap we identified, the investment to close that gap is $3,500 a month. Now, it's not about my services cost. It's about what their problem cost them to keep. And suddenly, $3,500 doesn't sound expensive. It sounds like a bargain compared to the $15,000 a month they're losing by not fixing the problem. But here's the thing that's really gonna mess with your head. The higher your prices go, the easier the sales conversations become. And I know that sounds like something a motivational speaker would say right before he starts asking you to buy his $2,000 course, but it's actually true. And here's why. When you charge premium prices, you attract people who understand the value of premium solutions. These are business owners who's been burned by just cheap vendors and learn that you get what you pay for, right? Cheap clients, guys, shop for services like they're buying gas. They'll drive across town to save 50 cents and then they'll complain the whole way. When I was charging $500 for websites, every conversation was about price. But when I started charging $3,000 for lead generation systems, every conversation was about results. Same me, same skills, but different marketing position. The business owners willing to invest $3,000 weren't asking if I could do the work. They were asking how quickly I could start and what they needed to do to maximize their results. That's the difference between transactional clients and investment clients. Transactional clients buy your time, but investment clients buy your outcomes. Here's the math that changes everything. When you're charging $500 per project, you need 20 clients to make $10,000, right? But when you're charging $4,000 per project, then you need 3 clients to make $12,000. Same revenue, completely different lifestyle. Those 3 high-ticket clients are also more likely to stick around longer, refer other high-value prospects to you, and actually implement what you recommend because They're invested in the outcome, not just trying something for cheap. The path to $4,000 services isn't about becoming a better salesperson. It's about becoming so good at solving specific problems for specific people that charging premium prices feels natural to everybody involved. That's the difference between selling your soul and selling your expertise. When you're helping people achieve outcomes they couldn't achieve on their own, high prices aren't just justified, they're actually expected. Building a high-ticket service isn't just about making more money per client. It's about building a business that gives you your life back, a business that lets you work with people who value what you do instead of constantly defending your prices to bargain hunters that are out there. Here's what you need to do. Structure your entire business model around attracting investment clients, not transactional ones. This means everything from your marketing message to your onboarding process. They should all filter for people who view your services as an investment in their future, not an expense to minimize. Some people would rather work themselves to death for peanuts than have one uncomfortable conversation about money. And that's not business strategy, guys. That's self-sabotage. If you're ready to stop competing on price and start building a premium service business, click that link in the description, okay? I'll show you exactly how to position yourself as the obvious choice in your market and build a pipeline of high-value clients who actually appreciate what you do. Because here's the truth. You can either build a business that pays you what you're worth, or you can keep building a job that pays you what you'll accept. But you can't do both.